Hi, friends. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Katie, and welcome to Okay, But Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today we're recapping and chatting about Once Upon a Time, episode 320, Kansas. This episode aired on May 4th, 2014. It was written by Andrew Chambliss and Kalinda Vasquez and was directed by Gwyneth Horder Payton. Now, before we get into our recapping and chatting, let's go over a synopsis for Kansas. In Oz. Shortly after the wizard's demise, Glinda appears to Zelena to thank her for what she's done and offers to show Zelena what life she could have if she gives up her plan to change the past. Glinda believes that Zelena could be the witch to fulfill a prophecy that will save all of Oz if she joins the Sisterhood of Witches to be the Witch of the West, but not without a price. To join her sisters and increase her power, her magic is now dependent on the necklace that she wears, holding all of her magic. Zelena accepts, and in letting go of her jealousy, becomes de-greenified. And when another cyclone comes down and brings with it Dorothy from Kansas, Zelena's green starts to reappear because now she sees the prophecy another way. Zelena now thinks that rather than being Oz's savior, she is the great evil that Dorothy is set to defeat. She orchestrates a way to get rid of Dorothy, faking her own death, so that Dorothy will want to leave and she can banish Glinda for good. And in Storybrooke, Snow is in labor, and in a last attempt to stop Zelena, Emma and Hook go after her. But when Zelena is able to trick Emma into kissing Hook by giving him CPR, her magic is gone. Zelena is about to win. She has her symbols of love, courage, brains, and innocence, and is able to enact her time travel spell. Henry convinces Regina that she can stop her with light magic, and the heroes storm the barn to stop the witch. In the end, Zelena is defeated by Regina. Snow and Charming get their son back, and despite the happy reunion, Emma is still convinced she will be taking Henry back to New York now that this is all over. Rumple is finally free of Zelena's influence and gives Belle his dagger. Or so she thinks. When it turns out that the one he gives her is a fake, he's free to do as he wishes, and avenge Neil's death by killing Zelena. With her gone, her magic is freed from the pendant and enacts her final wish, to complete the time travel spell and reopen the portal to go back in time. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a synopsis.
Yeah.
Unlike other episodes where I say the long ones are because usually either it's because I really really love the episode or such little happens it feels weird to leave
Yeah.
anything out. This is our rare third option in that I really couldn't find a way to leave out any piece of that.
No, it makes complete sense. And it's really funny because as I'm listening to you, recite that, which is always an enjoyable time. Thank you.
You're
Is
welcome for my audiobook voice.
right? Is I don't even think I wrote it down, but I need to talk about the CPR.
Yeah, does the kiss of life really count?
Like, there was no CPR in that
No, she just
whatsoever.
kisses him.
She just kisses him, and I'm just like, she's like, oh, this evil witch. And I'm like, chest compressions, Emma. Like, there's steps to this.
Yeah, the only part of it she did was the plugging of his nose. That was the only correct CPR.
And I get it. It's because like she'll, supposedly I guess she believes, oh, if I kiss him, then
Yeah.
my magic's taken and he lives. That's not how that genuinely will work. So
Yeah.
I have issues. I I didn't write it down, but I'm realizing now, remembering that I was like, "What the fuck, Emma?" This entire time.
Yeah, I wrote down, does CPR count as a kiss?
Does it?
I feel like there should be a little bit of leeway there, just saying.
Yeah, but it's Zelena. It is what it
Yeah.
is.
She's the OG
I
Captain Swan shipper.
I got really excited. Like we're really going out. Like 2024 was the year of the witch for us,
Oh yeah.
100%. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like getting even more excited because y'all don't know this, but we're recording hours today on New Year's Eve, and I'm like, we're
Yep.
ending out the year on more witches.
We
So I
really
got
are.
really, really excited that at the beginning, like I got to see the other witches. I was like, fucking finally, I want this information.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, got excited. I was like, Dorothy. Of course, Dorothy's here. This is the
Yes.
story arc.
The girl that plays Dorothy does a great job.
Oh, she's just great. She looks familiar.
She hasn't been in a whole lot.
She has been a lot. She looks
No.
familiar. I'm trying to figure out why. She looks a little bit like the daughter from Spanglish.
She does, but she's not. It's not her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know it's not her, but she looks very much like her. How many times did I write down, no, Emma, or a variation of Emma. You can't just go back to New York. There's one. Um, oh, did I only do it once? I thought I did more than that. Nope, there it is. I wrote fucking Emma because constantly, oh, I want our life back in New York. You can't go back. Your son, what are you gonna, how's custody gonna work? You're just gonna take him away from Regina? Like, that's not gonna happen.
Apparently, that's what she thinks she's gonna do.
Fucking Emma. Is she like the most disliked character? Which is really interesting to think.
I mean, she's not. I think a lot of people feel the same way I do, and like I say all the time, like our last episode is titled "Did you know Emma's drinking her own Kool-Aid?" Like,
Oh God.
because I said that at some point in the episode, I said that. But at this point, this insistence that she knows what's best for Henry, her thing of like, I'm his mother, I know best. She's not wrong, I would say, in that the concern for Henry's safety, he should have told her.
Mm-hmm.
Like that part of, I mean, I get that he made a mistake, and even David is willing
Yes.
to see like the
Mm-hmm.
multiple sides to it, but it's just this is the last time I think this is the last part of the show, I'd say, where she insists that she alone knows what's best for Henry, at least, because like her whole thing of like, I'm his mother, I know what's best. You've literally been his mother for a year.
And that's it. Like,
That's it. Like, I know she's got memories of everything beforehand, but even she acknowledges those are fake.
she just frustrates me
Yeah.
endlessly. So I'm hopeful that it gets better, but I did make a joke of like drowning a pirate on stuck on land. That's dark.
Yeah, I was like, could it really have been this easy? Has Rumpel just not thought of that before?
Apparently not. Rumble. Oh God, don't get me started on him yet. Fuha. Okay. Of course, no. Bye bye, magic. Book is alive. We're on to the next,
On to the next adventure.
next adventure. So we've got, then I'm like, okay, the pendant is an interesting choice. She had
Yeah.
power before getting it, but now if she takes it off, she loses her power.
Mm-hmm.
So like, did the witches just be like, all right, we're gonna control you, you just don't know it? Like,
It's a case of they all have something that connects them. Like she says, it harnesses your power and amplifies it. So it's more a case of it's connecting her magic to theirs. It's not a control thing necessarily. It's just it's a bonds of
okay,
sisterhood kind of thing. And it's all magic comes with a price. That's one of the many thesis statements of this show. So it makes sense though, and it's a good use of
yeah.
that like thing of like there's a way to remove her as a threat without killing her, which I like that it's steeped in the show, even though it didn't work.
If just joining a group of women who all say they're like sisters and witches, that ends up not going the way you planned, wasn't like modern witchcraft, I wouldn't believe it. But
But
it's
it
very
is.
much like modern witchcraft of like, where Kevin, come join us. And you're like a baby witch, and I'm just sitting here like, I have flashbacks right now. What the fuck?
Burn and brew with coven true, and glory shall be thine.
Also, okay, so Steve and I have told you before we do this thing of whenever we do watch media, if there is a birth included
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever, we always try to like just make guesses of how old the child actually is. That is the
Yeah.
closest baby I have ever seen to a newborn, ever.
Okay.
Like that child is maybe 2, 3 months old, if
Okay.
max. It looks so young. Like that baby is
Yeah.
actually quite young. And
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised by that because they tend to be about 2, 3 months old when they are able to start like being in media
Yeah.
due to child labor laws. So I was really impressed by that, how little the baby actually looked, because usually they're a couple months old. They're never going to use a newborn on a set.
Well, what's really funny. So I was watching because I bought the digital version of Wicked because of course I did,
Of
and
course you did.
but here's the thing: is this is how I'm justifying the price, or I mean I
What
bought it
is the
anyway.
price?
To buy it is $30.
Oh,
But currently to rent it is 20. So I mean, for $10 extra, just buy it.
yeah.
However, it comes with the regular theatrical version. It comes with the sing along version, and then it comes with 2 tracks worth of commentary. One from John Chu, one from Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. So it's $30 for 4 different versions of the movie.
See, I would do that, but I love physical media. Like I
No,
really
I know,
love
and
physical media, so I'm holding out for the DVD.
as far as I know, that the physical version will have the same bonus
Yeah,
features as well.
that's what I was
But what
thinking.
during Noah Mourns the Wicked, because I was watching the one with commentary with Ariana and Cynthia, they talked about the babies because Cynthia got to meet the set of twins that played baby Elphaba, and they just go on this tangent. Ariana just goes like, "Wait, how? are there baby agents? She just like does that baby like she just goes on this tangent about how agencies work. I mean, there are agents that represent
Yeah.
babies. That's literally how it works. But she's just trying to like rationalize that in her brain. She can't figure out how a baby agent works. Like I said, it almost seems like in her head she's thinking, is it an agent who's also a baby? But that's not how.
Oh my God.
That's what it felt like as they were talking about it. It was
Yeah.
very funny.
But I was really impressed. And then just have in all caps, nope, 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 don't like this. This is triggering. I cried. I actually had to pause for a minute
Mm-hmm.
because nope,
Yeah.
nope.
This is the last time that a baby is used like this. Babies are
Thank
involved in
the
like
gods.
babies are like involved, but like used for a spell, never again. Although
Oh, that
Regina
was rough.
Regina does have that line of the amount of spells that use baby parts would surprise you.
But like I think it really got to me with the knowledge though, knowing that she was actually pregnant, just
Yeah.
recently given birth, and then had to act this scene. And I'm just sitting here like, nope, nope. Like the pain in
Well,
her eyes is real.
no, it's very real because she's 7 months pregnant filming that.
Yeah. Like, no. Like having a pregnant woman perform that just hurt on a
Yeah.
like maternal level. I don't know how to explain it. So
No, that makes perfect
that was
sense.
not fun.
No, yeah, I'm sure. But it ends. I mean, again, knowing the
Yes.
stakes of the show, you know it's going to end happily at least.
Yes. That
Uh,
helped. That helped. But I still had like a panic moment.
yeah, like ultimately, while this is this, I don't know, we call it the soap opera. This is the darker versions of fairy tales. I mean, I know we make our joke that they keep it in the family a little too much. At its core, this is still a family show.
Yes.
So.
Stealing babies isn't, the best thing to do. I did write it with I was like, I really want Regina to be the one to defeat her, which of course
Mm-hmm.
made me happy.
Yep.
Because like going through like the stuff with the melting and how she faked it, and I'm like, why did she fake that? Like, what? Trying to figure out what Zelena's goal is in that part of the story arc. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's so much. They really pack a lot in to this end of
Yeah.
to this, and it felt like they were kind of phoning it in
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning, and then something lit a fire under their asses, and they're like, all right, let's write some great stuff. Like, it's very interesting looking at season 3 as a whole, and I can't wait for us to talk more about it
Mm-hmm.
because it's very interesting at do it. You've made me become so analytical.
Well,
I'm like, wait a minute.
it'll be really interesting to compare their first 2 attempts at this
Yeah.
half season system because I think, as I said before, and we'll see how you feel at the end of season 4, though. I think season 4 is the best use of it because it really is 2 stories that are 2 sides of the same coin. They're featuring very different characters, and there's the joke there that the first half is the Frozen characters, and you mostly see like the women in their late 20s, early 30s, and then in the second half you see as time goes on you have the women in their 40s and 50s. That's the joke of like, I think it was Victoria Smart that makes this joke of like, this is what happens to women on the other side of things. We become villains and but
Yeah.
I think they do a better job of, while it's 2 very separate stories, showing a more cohesive arc because this one doesn't really have one. Ultimately,
No.
there's no real one story that follows us the entire time. Season 4 does have a story arc that really does go through the entirety of the season,
That'll be
which you
so nice.
which you don't really realize until the end, but I know it's there.
Ooh.
Because I've seen that trajectory multiple times because I love
Yeah.
that season.
That's gonna be interesting. I'm excited.
It's a better use of this story structure than season 3. I think because I think season 3 it almost like I say it's my best guess that this was due to an impending strike, and just like that's why like we'll have a story that's contained and it's good, and if that's the end, it's the end. And then they didn't go on strike, so they could write the rest of it, and then it turns into, I mean, obviously they had stuff planned because people have to get hired with plenty of time for these things to happen. But season 4, they planned it intentionally, and there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
more cohesiveness to the entire season.
When Regina says changing, just that one word, like
Mm-hmm.
chills, absolute chills,
Yep.
absolutely wonderful. I loved that. I had a moment, as I always do. I'm like, wait, what's happening? Because later on I wrote, what the fuck is happening? Because like so much keeps happening, and I'm like, wait, you defeated her? What do you mean? Wait, there's 2 more episodes. What are we gonna do? And it's just the way they did this
Mm-hmm.
has me kind of angry. I'm like, there's still 2 more episodes. You defeat her, but then you don't defeat her. What the fuck are in the next 2 episodes? But I get to watch those
Yeah.
together. So we're okay with this.
Yeah, I say this is also something they do fall into as more or less the rest of the series, kind of. Um, your main arc gets like resolved
Mm-hmm.
with an episode or 2 episodes before the end of the arc, leaving 1 episode left or whatever to tie up loose ends, but then also has a almost completely different story that sets up the next season.
Oh my god.
So like they use a lot of like the end of the arc to set up the next one, which I'm not the biggest fan of, mainly because so many of their villains I feel like would have benefited from more time. Like the Frozen
Yeah.
arc, so it basically the main thing gets finished at 410, then you still have 411 for that half, which does tie up a lot of loose ends, but very much sets up the Queens of Darkness because they're featured in that episode.
Mm-hmm.
Season 4, the finale, is less of setting up the next one. That one is more of something that's been pulled through a lot, but like season 5 is kind of, it's like a lot of it's going to keep happening like this where like we like wait, it's over, but there's more episodes.
Like, yeah, because that's where I'm at. I'm like, okay, Zelena escaped. Who knows? Like, is the next episode still trying to re-defeat Zelena, or am I
Oh,
gonna
you
get something
interpreted that as her
else?
escaping?
Kinda.
Interesting.
It felt
Okay.
that way because the
Okay.
smoke. Like, was I wrong?
That was her magic.
That was just her magic.
I shouldn't say anything else.
But she travels in that smoke just like Regina
No, she
does.
doesn't.
Yes, she does.
She has the smoke poof. That's
Yeah,
not the
I
same
know.
thing.
That's what I'm saying. That's
But
what I
that's
interpreted that as.
but that smoke at the end, that's just her magic. That's her magic
What the
seeping out of the
fuck?
pendant. I shouldn't say anything else, but you know she comes back.
Exactly. That's
I've
why
told
I thought
you
she
this.
escaped. That's why I thought she was just escaping. I know she comes back.
I'll talk about it more in the episode where she comes back. They claim they had it planned the whole time. I don't know if I believe them.
All right. Well, anyways, why the
I'm gonna stop talking.
did this man just propose with the Dark One dagger?
Uh-huh.
Seriously, when I thought all the crazy was done and they were just wrapping things up and being confused that there's 2 more episodes, I'm just sitting here like, what's happening? Why is any of this happening? What are we doing? Because like when he starts proposing to her, but then the fake out, and then you see that he lied, I was just kind of here like, what the fuck, Rumble? What did you just do?
So remember in season 2, he has that nightmare where he turns Henry into porcelain and smashes him?
Yes.
So remember I told you were going to see that actually happen with Zelena. So that's I'm going to stop talking about that because again, even if I told you what happened, it still wouldn't make any sense.
I'll wait and see what is gonna happen with that because it was really funny.
Let's just say, for all intents and purposes, she's dead.
See, that's why I said escaping. See, I'm right. I'm actually right. Anyways, I wrote at one point, I was like, I'm waiting for a twist. I'm waiting for a twist. And that twist, I wrote that. And then, like, a few lines out, it just goes, this isn't what I meant when I said twist.
A twister, a twister.
I was like, that is not what I meant. Rumble being Rumble, I guess. I don't know. This was an episode. It was like the first part of it, like leading with like just the backstory and Dorothy and everything. All right, this is pretty chill. And then it just got crazier and crazier and crazier. And I'm just sitting here like, what more could happen? And then the porcelain thing happened. And I'm just like, okay, this. And I only wrote down one line because it really was another situation of I kept getting so invested. I kept forgetting I was supposed to be taking notes.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good thing. If I'm enjoying it so much that I'm like, oh, wait, I'm supposed to be typing, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah,
but,
I would say so.
That happened a lot. Embarrassingly amount. But I did write, evil isn't born, it's made, and so is good. I'm like, look at Regina growing up.
Yeah,
still
Regina's
being
learning.
A bad bitch.
Yeah.
Then she immediately threatens.
Yeah. Well, at her core, Regina, she wants a chance to know her sister because truthfully, they're the only 2 people who kind of know what it feels like for your life to be thrown off course by Cora.
Yeah.
Like, there's a very specific trauma there that comes, like that. I feel like a lot of, trauma, but there's a very specific thing that's unique to a lot of siblings that, like, only we know what it's like to have grown up in our households.
Yep.
Or have our lives be affected by our specific parents. And it's Regina reaching out. And I have a whole thing I put in our script for me to go on a rant of not to therapize this fictional character, but let me do this because I did a lot of analysis of what's going on in Zelena's head in this episode. But for Regina, she's trying to reach out, and Zelena's just too wrapped up in her imaginary enemies to really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
She's so green with envy.
she's very green. She's very green with envy. You know what they call green with envy. I just call looking good. Okay, that's for season 6. But yeah, I don't have a ton of fun facts for this one. But because again, like I feel like this happens like some seasons just don't have a whole lot. It depends on what was available at the
Yeah.
time. Christopher Gorham, who plays Walsh the Wizard, he is credited as a guest star, even though all we hear is his voice, and it's likely not even something he had to re-record
Oh, really?
because we don't see him, and all it is it's the "I am Oz, great and terrible," and like maybe he had to record a couple extra lines, but he's not
Yeah.
seen because obviously the wizard at the end is Zelena. The design on the compass that she uses is the same design that's on the witch's table in Oz, except the colors are a little different.
Hmm.
The backs of the chairs around the table and the illustration of the cover of books all have the same design on them, which I think that's
Oh.
cool. It's a good bring it together. The well that Zelena melting at, that's the same well that they use in Storybrooke. So it's the same.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just it's the same prop. Which funny, the shot of Zelena being melted. So remember the ALS ice bucket challenge?
Yes,
So that happened, I think, summer of 2014. I think.
I think so.
So the entire cast of Once Upon a Time more or less participated at some point. All of them are really funny. Bex, I think, wins because so she's doing the spiel, and then her now husband, then boyfriend, throws the bucket of
Hmm.
water at her, and then she uses that clip and does a gag about her melting.
Oh my God.
Like, good on her, good on Mark. He does a really good job. No, being upset that he thinks he melted Bex, but it's like I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But she, I think, out of like funniness and like kind of having a little bit of levity with it, in addition to donating and doing all this for ALS research, I think she wins because that's just a great use of your own character.
Oh yeah.
This I thought was going to be a bit more interesting fun fact for you, and then I looked a little closer into it. Um, because Richard the fun fact said the barn also doubles as a location of a demonic cult in Charmed, the reboot, not the original.
Oh fuck.
I know. I was like, wait, let me look up which episode this is. And it's like season 1, episode 17. I'm like, cool. And then I look closer. And that episode aired in the 2010s. I'm like, nope, that's the reboot, not the original.
Man, I'd be like,
But
yeah, no, I think they're. And my brain already, there's so much chart. I'm like, I'm pretty sure there was a couple of demonic cults, honestly,
yeah, would have
in
made
the
sense.
original. So that would make complete sense. Um,
But
I
no.
mean, if you can call all the groups of demons cults that were going after them.
Yeah, sure, why not? But that episode apparently did feature a guest star who you will see on Once Upon a Time in season 5.
Okay.
I mean, like, because again, which I looked a little closer into it, when I see that kind of thing happening, I'm like, oh, is she a Vancouver local? No, she's from Atlanta. So everyone just finds the same people, I guess.
They do.
But the
They
last
do
thing,
kind of try and go for someone who's popular if they can. So
she's more of a character actor. She kind of does like one thing here, one thing there.
okay.
But the last thing I have is kind of like a pause to read situation. When Henry's looking for apartments, the wiki pulled out one of the apartment ads from the classified ads. So it's an apartment for rent, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, clock tower views, was a master woodworker in the Enchanted Forest, so all cabinets are custom.
Oh my God.
Like, occasionally they put a lot of thought into the detail, which I really appreciate.
I really love its fairy tale, like people though using modern
Mm-hmm.
day technology and
Technology.
like
Yeah.
practices
Mm-hmm.
to do that because we've of course have verified that they're a little bit behind modern
Yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually really like that.
Yeah. And it's interesting, I mean, that there is an apartment for rent now in this curse, because in the original one there wasn't. That's very much a thing from
Hmm.
the 3rd episode, I believe, of the first season. When Emma says there's no vacancies, is that normal? But we'll see, like, there's no apartments for rent that are in the classified ads, or we'll see in season 5, Emma gets her own house.
All right then.
So, like, stuff just kind of the new curse brought with it some stuff, and we'll kind of see how this new curse affects the town in the beginning of season 4 and stuff like that. But I still find it interesting ultimately because for all of season 4, so Henry does this whole thing. I mean, right now that, like, they're gonna need more space for the baby, and then maybe he may be with
Hmm.
Regina sometimes, but Emma's gonna need her own space. Emma stays in the loft for all of season 4, and Henry's with Regina pretty much all of season 4.
I'm okay with this.
Well, there's a part where like he literally says, "I miss my room," because you realize he actually that'll be in 402. He hasn't slept in that bedroom in a year and a half.
Yeah,
No, more than that. Yeah, but yeah,
because he
maybe
wasn't
close to
staying there for quite a while.
closer to a year and a half because he got all season 2 as well. So like he misses his room, which makes
I don't
sense.
blame him.
No, not at all. All right. So my notes, I mean, I always take a lot of notes. Whether I'm invested or not, I take a lot of notes. It's just I can't not. Uh Snow's baby being like super pure for this though is gonna get undermined next season because there's gonna be a whole thing about how babies are not super pure, they're just blank slates.
Oh.
They have equal potential for pure for light and dark. That's gonna be a
So, okay,
whole
now this
thing.
really does sound like a Charmed episode.
But that's a whole
Like,
thing next season. And like
oh.
so like the fact that Snow's baby specifically is super pure, I'm like, why? Just why? But I like seeing Regina's first fireball, or at least her first
Yeah.
attempt at it. It's very cute because we get to see the whole trajectory. And I know I as we were watching the episode, I remembered, oh yeah, this is basically concurrent with the Doctor or a little before ish
Hmm.
because we do see she watches her and there's the unicorn scene. And then so this is that fruition of that one-off line from Jefferson in 205 when he says, "I heard talk that the Slippers had moved on to another land."
Gotcha. And that land was
So
Kansas.
that land was Kansas, which is not the land without magic. We're not
Ugh.
we're never gonna actually see Kansas, but there I think I said before, there are realms of story that kind of emulate the land without magic, but they're a specific point in time. So like Kansas Dust Bowl era, which is what the Wizard of Oz would be,
Hmm.
that's a Kansas realm of story that's perpetually stuck in that time and place. Because we're going to see in season 4 a realm of story that would be like 1920s London, but it's perpetually 1920s.
You know what? I'm having that moment of the whole like filming thing because I can't get mad or annoyed at the world building with the shit that I read. So I'm gonna take a step back
Yeah.
and go, you know what? If I just take the time to try and I'm in the first 100 pages still,
Hmm.
trying to understand the world building that is Once Upon a Time. Like I'm still in the first little bit, in all honesty, if you think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
It's so extensive trying to actually understand the world building of this because then you've got the curse, you've got what was before. It's
Hmm.
so I can see why you look at this so analytically.
You have to at
You
this
have
point.
to. Holy crap.
Well, because it's something I think Sammy had said this one time about fantasy. With like a good fantasy, you kind of just trust that you'll get the pieces you need when you need them.
Yep. And if you don't, that book's not for you.
Exactly. But you have me to further explain things for you as well. So like, we're gonna see like I think 3. Yeah. So we don't actually see Kansas. It's just talked about. But
Okay.
but yeah, the 1920s space we're gonna see kind of like Victorian era London. This is why I said with the end of season 2, the Victorian era London that Balefire lands in is the land without magic. However, there is also a Victoria era London that is separate from that one that is a realm of story.
Is this in the same world of Doctor Who?
No, but it should be. That would
Like I
just
feel like it should be, right?
that should just blow things wide open. But the thing is, this is the fact that they kind of have these different realms of story that emulate certain things explains why certain magical characters can go to them without any issue. If it's not the land without magic, then it's a
Mm.
realm of story. So like the additional like the Victorian era London that we will see in season 6, Rumpelstiltskin can just pop over there.
Yeah.
But so that's how at least how I justify it. Because without that little bit of, oh, this is not land without magic. It looks like it, but it's not because we have fictional stories that are set in our world. That doesn't mean they're real.
That's true.
Like that's contemporary fiction. So like by all accounts, the Dark Olympus series is contemporary fiction.
Yeah, stop breaking my brain.
So
I'm keeping up. I'm keeping up. I understand. There's a
okay.
wreath. There's a timeline, but yeah, and yeah, I'll get it down
Yeah.
eventually. Watch me
Hmm.
at the end of the show, and I'm just like got a whiteboard behind me,
Basically, no, but that's honestly
trying
sometimes
to make sure I've got everything down.
this is also like, I guess, the factor of like, you're listening to me talk about this. I have all of the knowledge. So what that is, so I'm like, oh, this is why this makes sense. And you went, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what do you mean? I don't understand.
But it does. But I wrote down this question. This is a fair question to ask. In the past that Zelena wants to create, where Cora never gave her up, and so therefore Rumpel would only have her as an option to cast the curse. Who would she sacrifice? Because, like, would she try and sacrifice Cora? Like, truthfully, I don't know. It would be another universe. I mean, it's another universe, so maybe she did find somebody to love. I have no idea. But you have to sacrifice the heart of the thing you love most. And in our current timeline, that's Rumpel.
If only this were being made in like the Marvel time, we'd end up with our like what if series instead of the Alice in Wonderland offshoot that they did. They would just be like, okay, what if this person did succeed? Like can we get our Once Upon a Time what if?
There's so many stories they could do for that.
They could do so much, and you can animate it. We still watch it even though it's animated. Like I'd watch
and
it.
Just I'm sure all the actors would come back and do it.
Oh, happily. Like, especially if it's animated too, because they're like, oh, voice acting? Like, heck yeah, let me get it.
You can do it from anywhere.
Do that from anywhere.
Like, most of them, and a lot of them have done voice acting.
Yep.
Bex would just be game. She never has, but I'm sure. At least not that I think she has, but she'd just be game. Ginny,
how much fun
Josh,
would that be?
Colin.
Give us a Once Upon a Time what if universe.
Yeah, I'm down.
I don't care if it's just like a web thing. Like, come on, man, I need this now. Like, I want to know who Zelena would sacrifice at this point.
It's a good question.
How do we bug the writers? Are they active in the world right now? What are they working on right now? We got another project for them.
Yeah, I'm sure they're working on something, but I have no idea. So I wrote down a couple lines. I mean, I wrote down lines here and there. We have when David was defending Killian, and she goes, because he knows about keeping secrets from loved ones.
That one was good.
It's deep cut. And then I've got magic. He's got one hand. At least he can draw fire. Oh no, I'm cannon fodder. This is just me being me. Come for another beating, sis. They're sisters. This line should not affect me the way that it does.
Lauren. Is it incest if they're sisters? I said that wrong and I'm not regretting it.
Definitely said that wrong.
That's not what that is.
No, that's not what I was supposed to say.
But that's not the sentence.
No, it's not, but it's staying in. I'm not taking that one out.
Okay, but I didn't mean it like that. But Lauren knows what I meant. I
know what you meant, but that's not what you said.
No. It's okay. It ended up a wonderful moment.
It did.
Anyways,
we'll move on. So back to the drowning a pirate on dry land. I have blooper brain rot of them filming that scene because it's obviously Colin's stunt double that goes flying, not Colin. They don't drown Colin O'Donoghue. I think that's against a lot of things in their insurance. But they basically, it is kind of like a springboard thing, like that they use to kind of just like throw the stunt double. And so the blooper is you can hear the springboard go. So you see the guy flying, and Jen does the hook line and runs after him. And then she just stops and goes, "I was so scared the whole time," because they're hurtling him at a tank.
Oh my god! I get to do that in a couple of weeks.
Next week.
Yeah, technically, yeah. Next week I get to watch the blooper reel.
Yeah. So yeah, and the patrons will get to see it. So if you want to watch Katie react to the blooper reel, join our Patreon at $1 a month, because that's one of the many exclusives they get. I say many. That is one of the exclusives they get. Such a fun exclusive thing. It is a good exclusive.
I hope it is. I hope everyone enjoys my facial reactions.
There's a little bit of an oops that actually the wiki didn't even notice, because usually they'll kind of like point out some like little continuity things.
Yeah.
When Glinda says take a look and she gives Zelena the mirror, very briefly you can see like the front, like a piece of Bex's face. Because obviously the makeup is sometimes makeup, the green is sometimes makeup. Obviously that part was CGI. So clearly they were filming Glinda's coverage for that entire scene on a day that Bex was not wearing the makeup.
Oh.
Because you can see a little bit of her without the makeup on. So just a little oops or kind of blink and you miss it kind of thing, but
it happens.
It happens. And this is something new that I discovered because I just started reading the Wicked book.
I have not read that yet, but it's everywhere right now.
The brain rot is real, y'all. The irony of Zelena being the Wicked Witch of the West and having the West, according to the map that's in the book, the West meaning like the west of the Emerald City, basically is Winky Country, which is described as uncivilized and underdeveloped.
Oh, there's some narrative there. There's
Yeah, I've only just gotten to parts where they start to explain. I think they explain more of it later in the book, I
yeah.
believe. But that's
I
where
gotta get
Fiyero
this book.
is from. The
Oh, the irony
audiobook.
that he's a prince.
Yeah, there's a whole thing there because he's a prince in the book too, but um the audiobook is one that you can listen to on Spotify.
I will do that then. Now, Wicked can definitely be added to the book wheel.
Yes.
That would be so much fun.
This was my therapizing and prophecy and things like that with this story because Zelena has problems. Let's just go. Let's start there. Zelena has problems,
Okay.
but I, in kind of therapizing and kind of seeing the way she kind of dealt with the prophecy, because this originally they assume, comes to Oz from a cyclone, will be the Witch of the West. It's the witch that imbues innocence and stuff like that, which I kind of forget about that part all the time because it's not
So
that it's not important.
I had a very niche reaction
Okay.
to that. This chair is for this, and it's like these like really nice
Mm-hmm.
things. You probably don't know what it is, but there are people in the world that know. I think I've mentioned it before about the Rainbow Girls.
Mm-hmm.
Was a thing that I did for like a year as a child. It's an offset of the Masonic Lodge,
Mm-hmm.
Mason the Freemasons. Yeah, each chair you had a different position, and each chair was a different thing. And one year they had me as Fidelity.
Mm.
So that's what gave me flashbacks. That's yeah, I got flashbacks to that
Oops.
year of my life. Yeah, I was an 11-year-old, had to wear a white dress, and my chair was Fidelity. I
Mm.
It's a fever. That year's a fever dream in my life.
I hate that.
It's
This is
very weird.
so much. Uh, so with Zelena, she's very much aware of what she believes is the reason why they even brought her into the
Hmm.
sisterhood and all of that stuff. So she's very precarious with it because that's just kind of how she is. She kind of just assumes no matter how happy she is, it's gonna be ripped from her because that's all she's really known her
Yeah.
entire life. So she instantly picks up on what Dorothy's arrival can mean for her because part of the prophecy is a cyclone, and that's also what brings Dorothy to Oz. But it's a very continual thing for Zelena that I said before. So many of her enemies are in her own mind. Like she just decides someone is out to get her, there's an enemy, and that's what she believes, and that's how she acts. She conflates how a situation makes her feel with what's actually happening, which I'll admit I'm guilty of that. Not to this extent,
Yeah.
but for a lot of people,
This is a big extent.
it's yeah. This is a most people don't take it quite this way, but a lot of people do conflate how a situation feels with reality.
Yes.
That's very common, sadly. And Glinda does genuinely just want to help Dorothy because she's a girl who came out of a cyclone and crashed her house down on the ground. Like she wants to help her. It's the right thing to do, and continues with the notion that Zelena is the rightful witch, despite what's happened.
Hmm.
Zelena only gets ousted because she acts out, not solely because Dorothy is there. She perceives Dorothy to be her threat. She lashes out. That's the re-greenifying is what happens. She imagines Regina as the obstacle to her happiness, but Regina just exists. She hasn't
Yeah.
done anything. So at this point, she doesn't even, at that point, Regina doesn't even know Zelena exists. They're imagined enemies, and she creates her own unhappiness herself, which is a very common thing for the Mills women to do.
I'm seeing this.
They create their own, like, they get in the way of their own happiness. Regina will have a whole thing with that next season.
Which is so interesting because like Zelena is her worst enemy. She's her own worst enemy. She's doing
She
this to
is.
herself. For someone who is
Mm-hmm.
so talented and so intelligent, because she is really smart.
Yeah,
But when you allow jealousy and allow those things to get in the way of your own talents, this is the kind of thing that can happen. So like it's actually
exactly.
the more we analyze, the more I'm seeing that I'm like, I am understanding the obsession.
Yes.
And yes, it took 3 seasons, and that is only because technically it took 2.5 seasons. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But it continues on with Zelena. She interprets the prophecy way different than anybody else. Like, yes, she continues on with the unseats the greatest evil the realm has ever seen. That can be taken multiple ways.
Hmm.
Because to hear Galinda to interpret it, Zelena already did that with the wizard.
Yeah.
But because like Cheek says, like he gave everyone false hope and like he was this terrible man that was doing terrible things. So it's like, to be fair, like to Glinda, that prophecy could already be fulfilled. However, Zelena interprets it as herself because she is conflating how a situation makes her feel with what's actually happening. So I wrote down like, babe, I love you, but you're a little delulu.
Just a little bit.
A little bit. The prophecy can be taken. That's the whole point about prophecies is like they're almost always ambiguous on purpose.
Always. They're
So
meant to be ambiguous. So you find the courage within yourself to see if it is. It's a whole prophecy thing. I'm not gonna get into that.
Prophecies. So I have one more little rant about something that we've already touched on, but you'll have fun saying more things about it, I'm sure. Before we get to that, though, what did you rate this episode?
I gave this 8s across the board, so this is a 24.
Okay.
It's very enjoyable. Obviously, I have some issues, Emma. So like that's my main issue. Like Emma infuriates me more in this than Gold does, and he did a really fucked up thing.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Like her fixation. It's she's constantly doing the same stupid shit, but it pisses me off in just a slightly different way. Because originally it's like, I'm Henry's mother, not you. Like, no, bitch, you gave him up for adoption.
Yep.
You're back in his life now. You do not get to just take that. And now we're on to, oh, well, I got to be his mother, and now I'm going to take him away from his mother. No, Emma, stop. I just need Regina to fireball her, and maybe it all will be over.
If only.
If only.
If only. Now they're working together a little. They're working together a little.
I know.
Too much now. But so I also gave it a 24, but just not with 8s across the board.
Oh, ooh, okay, that's interesting. I like when this happens.
Yeah. So we have the same score. I gave it an 8 for personal. It's a solid episode. It gets a 7 for character because of Emma and Rumple specifically, and a 9 for plot because this is the culmination of the story. Even though at the very end, obviously, the magic comes out and sets the portal back, but which is a really cool detail. I like a lot because that makes sense. Like if you're gonna, it's again, I said there's so many like Chekhov whatever things here. We like Chekhov's pregnancy, Chekhov time portal. If you spend all season talking about a time portal and then don't utilize it, why? So it gets so 9 for plot, 7 for character, and 8 for personal, getting a 24 as well.
Not bad,
which is a good score. But Rumple and the Dagger. So many. I mean, to be fair, this will come back to bite him in the ass in season 4. Like
it better.
Like Belle's not an idiot, but like I wrote this down. Rumple not giving Belle the dagger is a lot of why I can't stand him. It's these kinds of actions. And it's in here, as always, Bobby, amazing performance.
Love him.
Why this is so fucking frustrating. But it's why I have a hard time ever liking or trusting him, because he's constantly dishonest. He claims that he wants to be a better man. He claims he wants to, he sees that Belle trusts him, and so he's going to trust her. And then he immediately goes and gives her a fake dagger to make her think that he trusts her, when in actuality, he doesn't.
Which, while proposing, which is fucking gaslighting.
Yes. Like, I don't care about the fact that he does so that he can kill Zelena, because I get the justification. I get it. But it's the fact that his marriage starts on the basis of false trust. That's not a marriage. I'm not married, but I know that's not a marriage.
No, that's not a marriage.
Okay, thank you. So it's
going on 6 years soon. Actually, I think around the time this comes out will be at 6 years.
This comes out end of March.
So yeah, right around that time. Like our anniversary is April.
Okay. So it's so much of that, because we see that constantly. Like Zelena, she's got delusions of grandeur, but she's honest about what she's going to do. Same with Regina. And when Regina makes mistakes, they're honest mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
She's not, going dark, but telling someone else that she's actually doing the right thing. Like she's again kind of drinking her own Kool-Aid, and a little bit of the same delusions of grandeur situation of a lot of the other villains, in that she believes that what she's doing is the right thing, even though it's wrong.
Yeah.
Like he knows what can be perceived as good and then doesn't do it on purpose constantly.
Don't you love him?
Like, there's gonna be there's a line in season 6 where he says to Belle about something. He did the dark thing so someone else didn't have to after promising he wouldn't use dark magic, and she forgives him anyway.
So is this really Rumple being a bad guy or just himself and just Belle being dumb?
It's
Which is so
everyone,
painful to say.
it's all of the characters believing that he is believing him. And this is why I have a hard time with this character, because he knows that his dishonesty will be believed.
And uses it.
And as viewers of the show, and you'd think as people, as characters on the show who have witnessed betrayal at his hand 500 times, there's no reason why they should keep believing him, yet they do.
And we have a few more seasons of him doing this shit and it continuing.
Yeah, which is why I say, even though
Oh.
he gets his redemption and he gets whatever his happy ending, whatever you want to consider it, in the finale of season 7, it still feels like a little too late
Do you
for
remember
me.
when you were like so worried if I was going to be a fan of Rumples or not until you realized
Mm-hmm.
I also despise him?
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't this just a wonderful moment right now that I'm not like combating this whatsoever, and you get to finally have this space of like, see, my dislike is justified.
It makes this podcast so much easier.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, everybody. But like literally, because like I mean, we have that fucking content warning at the beginning of 308, and like if there was ever a part where you liked Pam, which
I'm
I'm
sorry.
so glad you didn't. But like it made that episode so much easier to record because we could just go and this fucking guy and then this and then we can just it very much is a case of I have the space to say the things I want to
Mhm.
say without feeling like I have to be like diplomatic about it.
And that's freeing.
It's
That's
very free
very
because
freeing in this day and age.
because like I have my TikTok page, which will if TikTok's even still a thing when this comes out, but I have that
Yeah.
TikTok page, and I mostly talk about things as freely as I can, but I almost always do it at an academic level. That way, it's
Hmm.
more neutral. I always say this: I am almost always neutral about things. If I dislike them, I do it in a way of critique. I do, and that's how I do it on the. That's how I do it on the TikTok mostly. I do it a lot here, but then there are times like this where,
Then there's Rumple.
and then there's Rumple where I can just go balls to the wall. What the fuck is wrong with this guy and everyone else on this show?
Everything.
So it's very freeing to just be able to just yell about these things with you because
Good. I forgot to get you a Hanukkah gift, so I'm set now.
there you go. But which is again great to hear in March. But
Which is funny because I did actually get you stuff. I just haven't sent it yet.
I also haven't sent you any of your things. But I'm planning to go to the post office on Thursday. But
Yeah.
it's and even and I think there's even a case of like if I like something or you just if you're on opposite ends of something, we'll find a way to get to talk about it with the same level of freeing energy because we both understand that dislike of things the other likes is not a moral failing on either of ours part. We're not
Nope.
attacking the other one in their personal opinions. We're just like, what the fuck?
If your goal is to surround yourself with people who only believe and think the exact same way you do, then you're not living life. Like, to be
Nope.
human is to actually disagree on things. And that's
Mm-hmm.
not like, and it's one thing of like disagreeing on opinions and like human rights. I'm not going that route with it. I'm talking about,
Yeah.
hey, I really like cheese on my macaroni and cheese. You like your breadcrumbs. Oh, look, we
Yeah.
disagree. We're fine. Like, and that's my TED Talk,
Yeah.
my tiny, tiny little TED Talk on,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to be friends with people who don't like everything that you do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's also okay to marry those people too. Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Bob's Burgers Season 7, Episode 11, A Few Girt Men, and Episode 12, Like Jean for Chocolate. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. Follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok. And if you'd like to join our Patreon, you can find the link with more details in our show notes.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Lauren and Katie and edited by Lauren.